We've got some interesting news. Grub Market raising money at over a $2 billion valuation, B2B marketplace in the food space, but also a big strategic investor called General Mills. What's going on with these manufacturers? Let's dig in. This company called Grub Market, they were in our top 10. They were our top 10 of our top 50 B2B marketplace ranking, which we published last year. At a $2 billion valuation, they raised $120 million. And the big notable strategic investor here isn't Tiger Global and other big name VCs, but it's General Mills, right? One of the biggest food suppliers, brands, manufacturers in the world. So the company is very interesting, and I'll talk more about their strategy in a second. But the big takeaway here, why this General Mills news is so big and why actually Bloomberg is highlighting General Mills backs Grub Market at more than $2 billion valuation, is because this is actually a continuation of a trend we're seeing across B2B distribution and B2B marketplaces, is you're actively seeing suppliers and manufacturers who've been talking about this now for pretty much this entire year of 2022, actively enable the B2B marketplace disruptors, right? These B2B marketplaces are effectively unbundling traditional linear B2B distribution as we know it, right? Matching buyers and sellers, providing better product data and connectivity capabilities, doing payments and net terms financing, doing logistics and fulfillment, right? If you think about all the core functions of a B2B distributor that's done in a linear fashion. So instead of matching buyers and sellers in a marketplace asset light model, B2B distributors are buying inventory from suppliers, on balance sheet, warehousing it, and then selling it to business buyers, right? So they're doing it in a very linear and a much more capital intensive manner. So these marketplaces have basically figured out how to kind of go through that whole spectrum. It's much more than just the buying and selling is my point, right? They're doing the buying and selling, and then they're doing much more. And that's how you get to a unicorn multi-billion dollar valuation. And I'll talk more about what Grub Market is doing there and how they've gotten there and why they're in our top 10 of our top 50 ranking last year. That was last year before they've raised all this money, now hundreds of millions of dollars in additional equity when they were in our top 10 last year. But the thing to me, which is most shocking, is how manufacturers are actively supporting, not just with participation, but with dollars and strategic synergies to enable these disruptors to do exactly this. Just 2 weeks prior to this deal being announced, we've already covered this on the show, you had another digital disruptor called Kojo, which is in the construction vertical, raise more money with Schneider, one of the largest electrical manufacturers, participating in that fundraise. Earlier in 2022, Schneider also invested in different kinds of marketplace disruptor called RenoRun, which is kind of like Instacart. I'm going to talk about Instacart in a second here, but Instacart for same-day construction goods. And I've got a bunch of other examples. I've talked about manufacturers buying tech companies. CMix Ventures is investing in a bunch of things, and Heidelberg's Cement changed their name to Heidelberg like materials. And here's the difference, right? Yeah, it makes sense. I'm a manufacturer. You want to go direct to the customer. Okay, I get it. You should do that. You're a manufacturer. You have every right to say you can go direct to the customer. But that's not just what's happening. General Mills has been going direct to the customer for years. This is different. What the manufacturers are now doing is saying, you know what? I'm going to invest in the marketplace disruptor, which is a direct, not just shot across the bow. It's a direct shot at B2B distributors. It's very different. Manufacturer, you want to invest in direct to customer, whether it's consumer, whether it's business customer, go for it. But that's not what they're doing. They're saying, I'm going to invest in the thing which is unbundling your business model, B2B distributors. That's a very different thing that's happening. We need to recognize the difference here. And why that's so important is because, as I alluded to on my other video, talking about the Kojo Schneider thing and what Schneider is dealing with this European takeover, they're trying to buy this like GE Digital in Europe. And the whole deal's a cluster. And I predicted it would be a cluster on my last episode. Go check that out. But do these manufacturers actually understand what they're doing? And I don't think they do. I don't think they actually understand the end game as well as they should. Here's why. By supporting the disruptor, it's very different than the manufacturer going direct. By supporting the disruptor, what are you actually doing long term? You're creating a unicorn in the immediate term. You're changing customer behavior, which typically takes a long time to change, both from suppliers and business customers, especially business customers. It takes much longer to change that than consumers. That's why you see generally these marketplace platform models have taken off much more quickly in the B2C markets than in B2B. But now they're coming into B2B. But when you have the manufacturers actively supporting the digital disruption, you now are accelerating that clock time for that digital behavior from business customers to change faster, which means you shorten the ability, you shrink the time that the distributors and other manufacturers, the long tail of manufacturers, to adapt. And you accelerate the ability of a digital disruptor to get to some level of scale. Let's take a step back. What happens when Amazon or Home Depot or fill in the blank company, any of the big tech monopolies, any of the big retailers that are kind of doing marketplace activities on their own now, what happens when they say, oh, I'll buy Grub Market for like $4 billion? Sure, why not? Or Amazon, Home Depot, just saying, yeah, I'll buy Kojo for like $500 million. You know, they're only worth like $250 million. Okay, yeah, I'll just buy them. Call it a day. Do you think Schneider, General Mills, these other manufacturers, Cemex, Heidelberg, you think they have the ability to turn that deal down when these are basically investor-controlled businesses, right? And who are the investors? The investors are VCs. They're capitalists. Despite what they make you think, they're still capitalists. They need to make a return. So are they going to turn down Amazon's offer for $4 billion? Only if someone else offers them more money, like $5 billion, then they'll say, oh yeah, sure. Walmart, here you go, Walmart, $5 billion. Are General Mills and Schneider saying, you know what? We want change to happen in this industry, but we don't want the change to do more harm than the old way of doing things. So if the change you're bringing about becomes unhinged, and you have no way to actually prevent what's happening in B2C all around us, which are these tech monopolies taking advantage of the suppliers, of the producers. And by the way, manufacturers, you're in the same boat. The manufacturers are the ones like Nike that have not figured out, still to this day, how to deal with Amazon. And still then don't know how to deal with StockX and GOAT and the vertical specific sneaker marketplaces, right? Covered that on the show all the time too. I'll give you another example, right? If you're a manufacturer and you invest in a B2B marketplace, that's your right. But I think everyone here would agree that you don't want Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, pick a big tech dominant tech retailer / marketplace or a big tech monopoly to go buy that marketplace, right? Because that 1,000% is way worse than the change that you were trying to bring about to the channel than the current state of affairs. And maybe the rate of innovation moving too slowly for your liking, fill in the blank name of manufacturer, right? So I think there are solutions. I just don't see anyone putting them together. So for example, maybe what we should do is put together, and you know what? I could even go put this together. Just like YC created the SAFE standard way for early stage investors to fund tech startups coming out of Y Combinator. Maybe we should create a common set of governance, poison pill mechanism that says, you know what? We want to bring about change in this industry. We think there's a lot of value and opportunity. We think the pace of change needs to move faster. Fine, we can all agree on those things. But we don't want the same thing that's happening in B2C to happen in B2B. Can we all agree upon that? Both startup digital disruptors and manufacturers, certainly distributors, and the business customers, by the way. No one wants to be beholden to an Amazon force in B2B. I guarantee you the country doesn't want that to happen. That would be so bad for our society, for our economy, for oh my God. I mean, a whole slew of reasons, which the show has been talking about for years. Maybe that's what it is, right? You need to actually say, if you're going to take our money, well, here are the rules of the road, founder. and other VC investors. If you want General Mills to get involved, if you want Schneider to get involved, you can't sell to, certainly not Amazon, probably not Walmart. And each vertical could be a little bit different, like Kojo to Procore, for example. But if you're not doing those things, and there's other solutions too, but if you're not doing those things and you're a manufacturer and you're enabling and actively not just participating, but investing dollars into these marketplaces, I think you're making a grave mistake. And I don't think you're truly factoring in the long-term impact of what you're doing to the industry. If you like this video, go check out our video on our top 50 B2B marketplace ranking from last year. Hit the subscribe button because we're about to release our new version of that ranking in the coming weeks. And also go check out our video about Kojo and the Schneider deal from just a couple weeks ago.